is Monday, the 19th of August, here in the Gold Coast of Queensland. It's Sunday. Here we are. It is Sunday, the 18th of August, back in California. And we're about to begin our lecture series on Ten Transferences chapter. And there's a currawong outside my house who is upset. Okay, I'm interpreting bird calls. So let's see here. Today, we're going to begin with Gwen in Ohio is going to be requesting Dharma. And I'm going to play this yin qing, hit the yin qing 3 times, and and do 3 bows. Please join me if you care to. 大家好，阿弥陀佛，今天是8月19号，我叫恒实，我现在在准备开始我们今天万佛圣城星期天晚上的华严经讲座，就先请 Gwen， 他在美国 Ohio 州，准备请法，我先敲引请3下，然后呢，大家可以在自己的座位上礼佛上问心，然后我们就开始。好 ，Okay, ready for 3 rings of the bell and bows to the Buddha. Here we go. First bow. Second bow. And third bow. Okay, Gwen, if you'd like to request Dharma, please go ahead and do it now.
恭敬大德僧听，为此法会集一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死，离苦得乐，速证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attend bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchetoye olahuri samyao samputoshe.
Namo sadanto suchetoye alahadi samyao samputoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. All righty. Thank you, Gwen, for the Dharma request. I accept. Happy to do it. Let's invoke spiritual presence. Invite the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to join us, if they would please do so. Namo Bhagavato Arjun Vayen 菩萨。Moving on, women, the Pomo people, practice spiritual connections to the earth and all creation here on their ancestral land for tens of thousands of years, and today we acknowledge them as traditional custodians and original storytellers of these lands. We offer our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 我们恭敬地承认 Pomo 人是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族原住民致敬。And got a brand new bell. Bells sound wide, resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000劫内佛法扬万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益报他诺后德。And the bell is still ringing. Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. All right. So today, 今天哈，我们let's see here. Here we go. Okay, good enough. So, 就是说，今天我们 I'll start in English. 我先用中文讲。We appreciate folks listening in English and in Vietnamese. I will help translate into Chinese for myself. Our host today is in Taiwan, Liu Gui. Gwyn is in Ohio, co-host. Let's see here. Appreciate our friends in Washington State, Oroville, Washington. Friends in Ukiah, CTDB, in San Jose, in, let's see here, where else? I'm looking down, there's the camera, hi there. I'm looking up at my other monitor and people think I'm looking over your heads. Here we go. So the print's bigger on the monitor, my eyes, yeah, so here we go. Okay, Barbara and Ernie are here. Let's see, Bin Xin's in Shanghai. Celeste in Hong Kong. Mr. Lin is in Newbury Park. Mr. E is in LA. So is Guo Zhong Yi. Let's see here. Or that could be Zhong Yiguo. Mr. Zhong, I believe Zhong. Okay. Let's see here. Friends in Calgary, friends in Saratoga, friends in Alameda and Calgary and Montreal. And where else? Texas. And let's see, Vancouver. Okay, Alameda. Where else? In, let's see, Northern California, wherever that might be, Seattle, Union City, New Zealand. Okay, Mr. Yip. In Shanghai. In San Francisco, Seattle. Where else here? Stockton, New York City, Shenzhen, Liaoning, Bay Area, Bothell, Washington. Alameda, Mesa, Arizona. Oh boy. Saratoga, Ukiah. All right. Dharmaster Hung Liang is here. Welcome. Glad you're here. Okay, in Vancouver, in Seattle, in Oklahoma, in Alameda, in, my goodness, can you stand it? Virginia, where else? Ukiah. Ukiah, lots of folks listening in from CTDB. That's appropriate since this lecture is the Sunday night lecture. Iwan is here, and Chanyu is here, and Ivan from Malaysia. OK， 那我们现在改到另外那个地球的半圈吗 ？No， 全怎么说？The hemisphere is called 南半球哈，东半球。All right， 就说有9部分在台北，有新加坡，有北京，有哈尔滨，有杭州、广州、黑龙江、深圳、大连，还有什么地方？合肥，那就。安徽河南，还有哪里？还有九江、蓝海，还有黑龙江鸡西 ，OK， Chicken West it's called. Yep. Let's see here. 安徽宿州、台北、新北市 ，OK， 欢迎。还有哪里？还有陕西宝鸡 George Precious Chicken，OK， 湖南。OK， 安徽淮南市安徽人多今天。黑龙江哈尔滨、黑龙江鸡西，还有哪里？北京、河北唐山，中国哪里？河南许昌。OK，small cities, only a million or two. China scale. 浙江还有什么地方 ？Let's see here. 海南 ，OK, good. 还有新疆乌鲁木齐 ，OK, 乌鲁木齐市。We don't have folks from 新疆 very often. From 乌鲁木齐，非常欢迎哈。还有北京、哈尔滨、吉隆坡，山东、深圳、上海、黑龙江、洛阳，台北。And to close us out, Michael Owen is here. Michael, you're not with Sarah, 2 different computers. No problem, no worry. The more, the better. Welcome, everybody. 大家欢迎哈。We are here in our sutra, and you know what's happening? We are going to be finished. We have a total of 11 verses remaining in our chapter. So, this is going to be the end of the 7th transference is coming up, and the end of my lectures in the 7th transference. 7th transference never ends. My lecture series in the 7th transference. And we will, it's appropriate to move forward into the 8th transference. No surprise there. That's the in progress now. We're getting it organized so that we will have the text ready to go to explain to everybody. And when you get into the upper layers of a series of 10 in the Avatamsaka, the 10 dwelling, the 10 abodes, the 10 abodes, the 10 practices, the 10 transferences, the 10 inexhaustible treasuries, the 10 stages, and then there are more. There's the 10 samadhis and etc. Once you get past number 6, things get profound. From 1 to 6, they correspond to the paramitas, of course. And when we get to the past, the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, the bodhisattva state is sublime. It's beyond duality, and it's past the realm of, it's where you can say, as in the Diamond Sutra, the bodhisattva crosses over every living being, and there are no living beings who are crossed over. That kind of mutual canceling of dualities. That's a particularly Mahayana Prajna Paramita plus state of being. So at that point, and this is the 8th transference included, gets esoteric. But the Avatamsaka has a way of kind of opening up those capacities for us in ways that until you set foot onto that territory, you can't imagine having it speak to you. But I remember at Gold Mountain Monastery when Master Hua would just say, okay, I'm going to lecture, you're going to translate. And we would go, but sure, but we don't speak that much Chinese, so we don't understand that much Dharma. Not a problem. If you understand this much, just speak that much. If you understand, you can translate that much, translate that much. And sure enough, we could. So the Avatamsaka is a wonderful state. It's a state of communication with the human heart that starts inside at a level you didn't know that you had. So it's the deep end of the pool, and we're learning to swim, and come on in, the water's fine. Matching our cliches. OK, 就说我们还有11首句诵讲完了，我们这个第7回向就讲完了。我们继续准备讲第8回向。这个有什么值得讲吗？就说无论我们在讲华严经的时候，是10住、10恒、10回向、10无尽藏、10力或者10定啊等等这些华严经的长长的极品啊，无论我们哪一个超过第6个地步呢，就情形不同了。这个每一品是从这个10波罗蜜拿的这个次序，它的机构。第1、第2、第3、第4、第5、第6，就说从第1到第5，我们还是用我们普通反复的分别心。当然那个第5禅定、禅波罗蜜已经不一样了。不过呢，到了第6呢，怎么样呢？就说已经离开二法我们到了般若波罗蜜的地盘它的境界。那个般若波罗蜜呢，就好比说呢，《金刚经》就说，菩萨度一切众生，无有一众生得度，好像自相矛盾了，不是，就说心有不同。然后超过第6到第7、第8、第9、第10呢，当然就很深，这个法很深了不怕，为什么？华严境界呢不一样了，华严境界不一样。这些法呢，佛法都是从自己的心，从人的心，已经超过普通反复的人的心，都是华严经从哪里来的？所以讲了，我们都听得懂这个道理就有个例子从前师父在金山寺开始每天讲经，他说我来讲法，你们来帮我听，帮我翻译了。那我们说师父恐怕我们的中文不够了，我们懂得佛法不够程度。他说不怕他说我就会佛菩萨会加倍。很奇怪，你开始翻译，我们听得懂当然我们的中文已经到现在还是没有那么流利了，可是呢大家都愿意了，因为就诸佛菩萨来加倍，是真的是就是不可思议的境界。所以呢我们就讲到第8回向呢，不怕，大家都会都有所得了Okay, so just to say, when we get to that 8th transference, I think we're going to enjoy it, and we're going to have plenty to discuss. So I'm willing, if you're willing, we can all make progress into the 8th transference. All right, now I got a message that my voice needs a boost. We're going to boost the input volume right there. How's that? I hope that's a little louder. Testing 1, 2, 3. That should work. Okay, good. Now, I need to tell everybody also that, let's see here. Go Buddha. Yeah. Today is the 19th. Okay. Next week will be fine. The following week, I'm going to be in Vancouver for a Dharma assembly at Gold Buddha Monastery. And chances are there's going to be a problem lecturing. So just to let people know, there will be a Dharma assembly. There will be Dharma for people to enjoy. I may be traveling on that day or unable, but we'll see if we can't work it out. So let you know about that. Maybe we'll be able to just lecture from Vancouver. We'll have to negotiate with the conditions there. 我下个礼拜没事，下个礼拜我一定会到时候就继续讲。再下个礼拜呢，就是那个9月初2，因为金佛寺在温哥华就有法会，要我们都去参加了，所以可能那天我们稍微不同。下个礼拜再清楚，现在就要跟大家先讲，一定会有讲经说法，可不一定是我来讲。Okay, we'll see how it goes when we get there. Okay, catching everybody up. Let me remove the blue highlight here. Here we go. Okay. Right here. That's where we're starting. 常于诸法不作二，一复不作于不二，于二不二并接力，知其系是语言道。They never discriminate phenomena on the basis of duality, nor do they discriminate phenomena on the basis of non-duality. They transcend both duality and non-duality, knowing that these are merely words. Yeah. Okay. 就说我们跟上个礼拜就是两个就成一对。菩萨言辞一通达，种种智慧一如是，说法如理无障碍，而于其中心不着。OK， 然后呢，常于诸法不作二，一不作不二，于二不二，凭借力就是知道这都是语言的范围。那么刚刚没讲嘛，我应该先念这个经文，然后再下个注解。我是倒过来了，先解释，然后再讲。不行，我没有讲，是不是说第8回向不可思议？是的，为什么呢？菩萨他呢？把自己的心清洁，把自己的心就已经把所有的无明就说收拾干净了。结果呢，他菩萨的心呢，跟众生的心就没有障碍，就一体一样的。结果呢，不用回去，就说，我们还再讲回来哈，就说，语言在哪里？语言分别，文字分别，在应该说第4蕴，fourth skanda 就是那个行印那里。 那个语言文字啊，是在比较，如果我们就说这个那个佛性是，当然没有一个方向，不是说你到那个心里就这样子，或者那样子，或者这样子，不是，就说一层一层。我们如果把这个五蕴哈，就识蕴是最深。如果我们就举个例子哈，就是方便讲如果识性是很深，那边没有分别哈，就说第四就是行蕴，语言文字在哪里？然后呢，第三下受想蕴。在哪里可以沟通？在第二受蕴，那就是耳朵，我嘴巴，我开口讲，你耳朵听。到了想蕴分别，到了行蕴，就把这个声音变成语言，很多 symbol， 很多形象在那里，然后识性在那儿。跟还有就说跟这个人有缘，他讲话我听得懂等等。如果我们就用语言文字就这样子解释哈，菩萨他自在，他知道动一个手，张开眼睛看了，那个众生都会懂另外呢，众生他们另外在动。举一个例子，就在我的窗户外边，现在有很多鸽子，就是白头鸽子，哇，它们是很奇妙的鸟，比较稀有，就是我们这里这个就是东南 Queensland 东南部这里才有这个鸟，现在外边有1、2、3、4、5、6、7个，本来他们怕我一动了，他们就飞走，一下就走了，好像打雷，这样子。现在呢，因为时间久了，他们知道我是喂他们，我把那个 bird seed 喂给他们吃，所以现在不怕了。看到他们有沟通的机会他们没有声音，没有调子所以他们的语文我没办法听他们讲话。其他的鸟呢，现在好比说今天早上那个 kookaburra 那个会笑之鸟还有那个鹦鹉，它就飞到我的手上跟我讲很多话就不同类在就说畜生道里边这个6道轮回10法界，那个动物法界，那个畜生法界的哈那么就分不同的，他们的语文字虽然是鸟，可是他们一定会沟通，互相沟通那么我听不懂，不过慢慢的就熟了所以菩萨呢，他可以 access， 他可以跟鸟动物昆虫这些鱼海鲜都能就是说海里的众生都可以沟通也不用文字都可以。OK，我对不起，磕磕巴巴的I'm trying to explain something here. Here's the Bodhisattva in language. Here are 2 phrases that deal with language. Two verses. Bodhisattvas comprehend words, languages, and wisdom, and they teach Dharma according to principle and without obstruction. Their minds aren't attached, and they never discriminate phenomena based on duality. I was just explaining earlier about the various levels of the 10 Transferences and all the various chapters of the Avatamsaka that come in tens of this and that. Bodhisattvas are, you could say, sovereign self-mastery. They're free inside of, let's see, they're free inside of language. They are completely able to communicate with symbols of language or without. They know that everything in the world, let's see here, they transcend both duality and non-duality, knowing that these are merely words. The idea is, here's what I was trying to explain in Chinese just off the bat. I kind of stumble around here because I'm trying to get a sense of how this could be true. And where is language in our human experience and in the experience of other species? So here's one totally random kitchen table kind of scheme. If we use the skandhas, so for example, skandhas are not directional. You don't go deeper to get to consciousness. You don't go left or right or north or south. But let's just say, for the sake of the model, that you go in, let's say. So if you go in to reach the skandhas, the deepest one in, wherever that would be consciousness. And where is language? Not there. Consciousness doesn't have language. So if you come out, where would language be? My guess is that language is held in the fourth skandha, the formations skandha, let's say, samskara, where these deeper levels of thought are carried, or where they're held and functioned, where they work. As when we come out, there's the thinking skandha, number 3, mentation or intellectual discrimination, and that's where we kind of sort things through in language. When we get to the second skandha, the sensation or emotion there, that's where the ears and the mouth are formed, the actual physical organs that are the tools of all sound reception and production whatsoever. So that's where you talk, that's where I hear the things that we use. And then the body is obviously the coarse aspects of that. So we've got the body, we've got the input of sound, we've got the discrimination of it, and then language is where symbols happen. Bodhisattvas, are you still with me? How are we doing? Bodhisattvas are, this is my completely homemade theory. They, in their cultivation, have already taken the covers off of this whole structure of personality and being, and as a result, they are free to travel through and past the language-making structures down to consciousness, where all living beings connect. So because they have cultivated away the self, the ego, that is the limiter, this great governor that kind of limits stuff there, and interprets it according to my particular view, based on my karma, they are able to communicate freely with every living being beyond language. Does that make sense? If Doug Powers would say, y'all get that much? Y'all are y'all with? Yeah. Right. So I'm looking at right outside my window at this moment. There are white-headed pigeons, and these are really special pigeons that are rare and unique to this part of southeastern Queensland. And they used to be absolutely terrified of me. As soon as I show up, they're gone. And when they take off, it's like thunder, all the wings at once. They come in a dozen together. And now, because they've identified me as the source of the birdseed, they're not so afraid. They see me every day. And yet they make no noise. So I can't really communicate with them beyond symbols, beyond just the physical, here's the food, don't be afraid. Other birds parrots, for example, these king parrots, which are brilliantly red and green, they will land on my hand. And when they land on my hand, they have so much to say. I put some birdseed in my hand, and they're just talking and talking and talking, and they make these incredibly endearing sounds. They have a lot of language, and then they're busy talking. And I can see them talk to each other. They come in pairs, husband and wife together. And they communicate to each other in these delightful sounds as they're gobbling the birdseed. They really, sounds like they're grateful, you know. So there's language happening there. Now, think of a bodhisattva who can take in parrots and doves or pigeons and kookaburras and currawongs and possums and kangaroos and wallabies and wombats and echidnas and fish and sharks and whales and dolphins and humans and ghosts and right and on, because the bodhisattva through cultivation has access to that deeper mind that precedes language. They transcend both duality and non-duality, knowing that these are merely words. Okay. Even so, you still have to say them. Here we go. 知诸世间悉平等，莫非心于一切也。众生幻化无有实，所有果报从此起。Everything in the world is inherently equal, created from nothing but the karma of mind and speech. Living beings are illusions, lacking reality, whence arise all karmic consequences. Now, just sing that with a blues backbeat, right? Everything in the world is inherently equal. Do a pseudo Bob Dylan here, honk, honk, honk on a harmonica. What would people think if you came out singing, everything in the world is inherently one, created from nothing but the karma of mind and speech, including this very song? Wow. This is deep stuff, and yet it's so compelling. Don't you just want to go, yeah, tell me more. You living beings are illusions, lacking reality. I don't know if I should punch you or thank you. Whence arise all karmic consequences. You must be one of them West Coast liberals. Oh boy, this is profoundly wonderful stuff. Where do you go to get your hit of world transcending truth? Avatamsaka Sutra. Give me a Hua, give me a Yin, give me a Jing. What's it spell? Hua Yin Jing. What's it spell? Hua Yin Jing. What's it spell? Avatamsaka Sutra. So, bodhisattvas, 他们知道世间皆平等，什么都是心与一切业。莫非两个不字，两个 negative 就互相去掉。莫非就说都是心与一切业。众生幻化无有实。是吗？我是幻化吗？你呢？你也是幻化。那幻化与幻化讲话有趣啊！所有果报从此起。对了，那因为都是幻化起果报啊，为什么我们打自己的嘴巴这么多啊？一切的苦恼都是自己愿意受的，愿意做的，众生颠倒。Okay, let's take a look at this. The Chinese helps. Whence arise all karmic consequences is actually not a bad translation, but you have to what? What does that mean? 所有果报从此起. Here's another way to translate it. Every kind of misery comes from this. Now, 果报 is retribution. It's not always misery. Sometimes it's good. But everything is a result of this. That'd be another way to translate this. Everything is a result of what? 心语, the mind and language. Everything in the world is equal. There's nothing happening. And the mind of the karma of mind and speech creates it. But in the midst of this, we go and just destroy each other. We just do these stupid things to each other voluntarily. And all kinds of suffering arises from that. You'd think we'd wake up. Maybe. Should look in the mirror, huh? Speak for yourself, right? 哇，这个是为什么？因为一切都平等，没有了就是幻化。可是呢，就在幻化里边，我们造了一切业，起惑造业受果报。师父 would say, Master Hua would say, 起业 we create karma. 就说起惑造 we discovered we run through delusion. We create deluded things. We do deluded things. We do stupid things that we shouldn't do. We create karma, and then the retribution comes. And yet, as the sutra says, at the heart of it, there's nothing there. If only, if only. 一切世间之所有种种果报各不同，莫不皆由业力成，若灭于业必皆尽。The variety of karmic consequences undergone by living beings throughout all worlds all come about as a result of karma. And when karma comes to an end, so do its consequences. Let's look at the Chinese. The Chinese somehow is speaking more clearly here. Ready? In the world, everything in the world, everything in the world, many kinds of rewards, each different, many kinds of karmic retribution with all their varieties. Here's a dual negative. None not from strength of karma created. So karma creates every kind of thing that happens to us in every world. And the punchline, here's the bomb that drops at the end of that. Get rid of karma and everything else is over. Profound. Stop hitting yourself in the face with a hammer and it will feel good when you stop. Yeah. 怎么说呢？就说所有的果报，无论哪一个世界，这个世界那个世界，所有我们所受的苦恼的果报，还有很善良的果报，这个很乐意的果报，都是从业力而成的。怎么来的呢？都是从业而成的。如果没有业呢，就没有苦报啊。那是不是很浅显的道理？就说3岁的孩子都懂的啊，然后就说虽然3岁的孩子都懂，可是呢，80岁的老头做不到。So it seems like a simple kind of teaching, does it? So everything in the world, with all its varieties of karma, all kinds of varieties of retribution, come about as a result of karma. But if we can put an end to the negative karma, you put an end to the negative retribution. This is also true, of course, for good karma, wholesome karma. Put an end to wholesome karma, retribution, wholesome retribution. The good things stop too. Problem is, you can't stop karma. You remember the famous Rafe is the storyteller. Great story. Here is. Can you all see Dizang Pusa? Rafe Martin is the name I'm looking for. 就是地藏菩萨在我桌上这里这个是韩国的一个画非常非常庄严。This is a magnificent Korean Earth Store Bodhisattva. And Rafe Martin tells a great Guanyin story, and it could be an Earth Store story, but he tells it as a Guanyin story. And
I think Reverend Heng Sure's internet is off, it's down now. 像施法师的网络在断了，稍微等一下。You wait for a little while, see if he'll come back. Okay, he's back now. Thank you, Heng Sure is back. 是法师应该回来了。
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. Goodness. Okay. Yeah, you paused the recording. That's good. All right. I'm using data minutes now to because my network just quit. Okay. 糟糕了。Okay. So, 对不起大家，我的这个网路呢就一下下就停了啊。Okay. So luckily we have options. Okay. 好的。Now I was share my screen. Here we go. All right. Here we go. So I was telling a Guanyin story. 那个故事呢，就是说一个人呢，就他要跟观音菩萨来斗法，他认为观音菩萨不是这么万能所以就说观音菩萨这是一个朋友讲的故事，我认为应该是地藏菩萨讲的比较恰当，他就说这是观音菩萨的道理。OK， 好，他说观音菩萨，你看看地狱里边的众生，他们所受的苦啊，哇，真的好苦。你说你是大慈悲，你为什么让这些众生在这受苦？你真的慈悲的话，你应该就说伸1000个手，把他们的苦呢就停了，对不对？就这么样给他一个挑战。So the story goes like this. Sorry, I don't know why the internet caused me to. If I had more hair, my hair would turn white when your internet quits like that. So there's someone who is a cynic, who is maybe nasty person, challenges Guanyin Bodhisattva. This is Rafe Martin's telling of the story, and says to Guanyin Bodhisattva, you're not really compassionate. Because if you were compassionate, you could cause the suffering of beings in the hells to end. Why don't you cause that suffering to end, Guanyin? If you were compassionate, you could just do it. Snap your fingers, 1,000 hands, no problem. But you're not compassionate because you let them suffer, right? So, obviously, here to give Guanyin Bodhisattva a headache, right? So, Guanyin 菩萨怎么说呢？观音菩萨就说：“你不懂你不懂这个业的力量莫不皆由业力成。说你不懂我现在给你示范一下就说好了，观音菩萨就把他的流头还有他的净瓶就洒干了，那他们就看到地狱。”这个苦的地方，那个甘露水到了地狱，种种的好几层的地狱，所有的苦恼的声音就停了，那个号召的声音就没有了，然后观音菩萨往那个魔王看了，然后呢，慢慢的。一个声音就叫呢，另外一个声音在哭，另外一个声音就号召，慢慢的，哇，所有这种的受苦的一层一层的地狱就现前了，都回来了。观音菩萨就说：“你看，我愿意令他们不苦，就是众生。”不停止造业，继续造业，结果呢， 没办法我怎么样令它停了，马上又开始众生起祸造业受果报，就是这个。So in Rafe Martin's telling of the story, I believe it's Mara who wants to overthrow Guan Yin and show that she's a hypocrite. And it's not really compassionate. So challenges her and says, see, if you were really compassionate, you could snap your fingers and all the sufferings in the hells would come to an end. How can you let them suffer like this? So they're standing over the deepest of the hells. Guan Yin says, no, you actually don't really understand the nature of suffering. So watch, I'll show you, says Guan Yin. Guan Yin takes her willow branch and her pure vase and dips the willow branch in and sprinkles sweet dew down into the hells. And all of the pain, all of the grief, all of the howling, all of the despair comes to an end all of a sudden. There's no more crying, no more screaming, no more howling. You can hear a drop of water falling into the ocean of suffering. Splook, splook, splook. But then there's one cry, and then there's one moan, and then there's another scream, and then there's multiple screams, and then there's more grief, and the smoke starts to roll out, and the suffering comes, waves and waves and waves, and it's all back. Guan Yin Bodhisattva says, see, I don't want to just work on the results. I want to work on the causes, and living beings never stop creating the causes of suffering, says Guan Yin. So you really don't understand the nature of living beings. It's not that I'm not compassionate. It's just that we don't stop creating the causes of suffering. 苦啊，苦啊，若灭余业，必解尽。When karma comes to an end, so do its consequences. When is that? Well, as they say, don't hold your breath. 阿弥陀佛。菩萨观察诸世间，身口意业悉平等，以令众生如平等，犹如无等大圣尊。Bodhisattvas contemplate all beings in all the worlds, perceiving their karma of body, speech, and mind as equal. They also establish living beings in equality, just as all peerless, great, and venerable sages do. Bodhisattvas look at all beings in all the worlds. Outside my window now, I've got 3 species of birds who have to eat all day long. All beings in the world, perceiving their karma, body, speech, and mind as equal, birds in their bodies can create karma that creates a lot of suffering. They eat each other. There are carnivorous birds right outside the door here. They also establish living beings in equality. And
Marty Fairhofen, FaceTime video.
Just as all peerless, great, and venerable sages do. So, peerless, great, venerable sages also, what? 令众生诸平等. To establish living beings in equality. I don't know what that means. Let's see. They enable living beings to, I guess, to get past the highs and the lows. What would it be like to establish myself in equality? Interesting idea. I'm going to establish myself in equality. I guess it means slaves, people who have actually no physical freedom because their lives are controlled by others. I guess that's, and then tech bros at Silicon Valley, who actually have to give away their money because they're afraid of the wrong tax bracket if they don't give it away. So that's inequality, unequal. It's unequal, not equal. So to be able to say there's economic inequality, there is educational inequality, there is health inequality, there is simple things like if you're the wrong race and you want to live in certain parts of town, you cannot. You won't be able to buy a house, even though there are laws designed to make that illegal, to restrict sale of houses based on race or creed or religion, etc. But people do it anyhow. Yeah, so that's what it means. So establishing living beings in equality. It's an attempt to translate causing them to live in equal, impartial, right? So establish living beings in equality. That just means to erase the inequalities. Bodhisattvas are willing to do that, and the way you do it is you look at the heart, look at the mind, which is one thing. Even though what we do with that mind, the body, speech, and mind, karma, is so different. 就说菩萨观察住世间身口意业悉平等，他从这个高尚的他观察从上边，不是在那个细节里边，他就用从那个道理来讲，从真理来讲。然后呢，令众生诸平等。诸平等怎么说呢？怎么讲？就说众生，我们的生命大不平等。有的贫穷人，他们就说今天吃什么东西就没有一定的。还有人，他们的钱太多了，他们必须要布施钱，不然的话，政府扣税太大了。所以大不平等那么菩萨就说我愿意把这些不平等的地方熄灭了，去掉了，结果众生那个基本上都有所需要的，可以继续活下去，这样子犹如无等大圣尊，好像佛陀呢，他是同体，他的身体跟众生的身体是一样的，那个是菩萨的这个伟大，那是佛陀的伟大。So, if once we establish living beings in equality, once we get rid of the inequality that is so that bedevils the lives of so many humans. Then the Bodhisattva is able to get to the mind, and just as the peerless great venerable sages do. Who is a peerless great venerable sage? Well, for example, the Buddha, who has, what we're talking about is the wonder of the mind. And the human mind is so incredible that when we cultivate it with the Buddha Dharma, when we put the frameworks and the techniques and the gateways of the Dharma around, the templates of the Dharma around our bodies and mouths and minds, then what can come out of that are what are called the three bodies of the Buddha. Can you imagine having a Dharma body which is the same as all living beings? And that would be what you can do with that body, and then your reward body and your transformed bodies. You can actually make a difference to people so that you can give them the flavor of living without highs and lows, living generously instead of selfishly. It must be miserable. How many miserable rich people are there? Lots. You can't, if you have lots of money. I was listening to an interview with a singer. The New York Times had an interview with a singer who is suddenly very popular all of a sudden, and never was before. And this singer was spent much of his early years in jail. He's incarcerated. And now he had a transformation and came out and is now hugely successful singer. And people come to him asking for handouts. And he was describing he had to like change all his phones and disappear because people come and say, could you give me a car? Could you give me a house? That there's this sense that everybody's supposed to have money, and if you have money, people ask you for it. How much misery is that, trying to sort that out? And you don't know when somebody comes up to you whether they like you for your sterling character or whether they're just hoping for a handout. A lot of suffering, right? So establishing living beings in equality, truly the work of a sage. 就说刚刚听到一个采访，就是《纽约时报》有一个歌手，他很成功最近。他年轻的时候就做监狱里边的这个牢犯。他年轻的时候很没有智慧，可是呢，他就后悔了，从头开始改过重新了。他就说现在呢，他很烦恼，因为他现在有钱，谁接近他，越跟他做朋友啊，他说多数呢那些人希望他会把钱给他。他说人说你可不可以给我一部汽车？你可不可以给我一所房子？我没有房子住，你可不可以给我一个？所以他说电话那个手机的号码他就要改了，就不能跟以前一样的，因为一出门了大家都说给我，所以他说这是苦恼那么众生我们就是这样子就说令众生住平等相当不容易，佛陀能这样做那是伟大。Okay, so we'll take a break here. We've only got a few verses left before we get to the 8th transference. And I'm grateful that my internet is still working. Okay, where are we going? We are going here today. Take a look. This is where we are. See, SWAT. 我们现在今天玄奘法师到了这里 SWAT Valley 这个山谷里边，他就走过这儿看看这个地方 Abbottabad 大家知道什么地方吗？那就是 Osama bin Laden 最后住的地方，就是 Abbottabad Pakistan 巴基斯坦。是相当的佛国，那个时候玄奘大师那个唐朝唐初，这个是佛住的地方 ，Swat River， 佛陀释迦牟尼佛走过这里，还有四尊佛 ，Swat River 是我们今天会看到。I'm showing you the Swat River Valley right through here, and Abbottabad is over here. That was Osama bin Laden's last residence. This was all Buddhist country back in the Tang Dynasty. How interesting.就说迦尼四迦伽蓝东北百余里，渡大河，至布斯杰罗伐地城。At a distance of more than 100 li to the northeast of the Kanishka Monastery, the master crossed a big river and reached the city of Pushkalavati. It's the Indus River, north of present Peshawar, which is Pakistan. 城东有速赌博，速赌博，无有王所造。速赌博 stupa, right? 速赌博就是塔，有个塔，无有王所造。即过去四佛说法处也。In the east of the city was a stupa King Ashoka built, an Ashoka pavilion, stupa. This was the place where 4 past Buddhas preached the law. 就是the Dharma。就在这里呢，过去四尊佛就是这个贤劫四尊佛在那边讲来过这儿。So you gotta to get a sense of Buddhist cosmology and history, the way Buddhists look at time, you have to really use a different perspective, right? Buddhas and worlds come and go, and Buddhas return to certain places. 就如果要懂这个呢，怎么说？四尊佛在同一个地方，不是这个世界，这个世界也来去，往就是往西有都有，将来会有。每一次世界来了，这个佛也回来这个地方。So the Buddhas return to certain places to do the work that Buddhas do. 城北40里迦兰内，有苏度波高200余尺，无有王所立，即释迦佛其行菩萨道时，乐心会施于此国，前生为王，即前生舍演出。In a monastery 4 or 5 li to the north of the city was another stupa, 200 feet high. That's a tall stupa, also built by King Ashoka. This was a place where Shakyamuni Buddha, when he was a bodhisattva in his former life, practiced giving. He was born in this country as a king for 1,000 times, and had also given his eyes as alms for 1,000 times. So, okay. When we talk about Mother India, oh my goodness, we are talking about Holy Land, where Buddhas come in each time that the world reappears. I know that does damage to our understanding of time and space, doesn't it? But this is truly inconceivable, and we have to roll with it. 就说每一次世界来了，成住坏空，有佛来了，每一劫那么每一次佛往生了，就说出生，他就到这边来。古印度就说 Mother India，就是古母老母印度，是圣地，没有错了。当然，我们说，哎呀，时间呢，方见，听不懂，当然听不懂。就是不可思议。此等圣迹无量，法师皆得观礼，自高昌王所施，金银灵卷衣服等，所至大塔大伽蓝处，皆分流供养，生成而去。There were many such holy sites, and the master worshipped them all. He distributed all the gold, silver, silken garments which the king of Gaochang had presented to him to the great stupas and big monasteries which he visited as offerings to show his respect. Okay, now take a look at this. Is fascinating. The king of Gaochang, remember, gave him all this stuff, and from there all the way over the snowy mountains, through bitter cold and all of these encounters, he's carried this stuff. Now he's making offerings with it. I think this is fascinating because it's not the Buddha, it's the Buddha's traces. It's where the Buddha, in this lifetime, in the lifetime of the world, came. And Master Xuanzang is the same way in the Lotus Sutra. Guanyin Bodhisattva divides the mala, the recitation beads given to her by Wujinyi, inexhaustible intent Bodhisattva. Guanyin divides them up and gives one strand to the Buddha and one strand to the stupa of many jewels, Tathagata. Likewise, Xuanzang here is giving offerings of, look, it says gold, silver, silks, clothing, etc., to stupas. He's leaving it there. And think of the reward, the connection to the Buddha that Master Xuanzang is creating through his offering. That's like eye-opening to me. 就像法华经》观音菩萨受无尽意菩萨供养的一个念珠，它就分两部，一分供养释迦牟尼佛，一分供养多宝佛的塔庙就这样子。玄奘大师也是高昌王给他那么多的这个宝贵的东西，他就带到很久，过山渡河，然后呢到了这个地方巴基斯坦，现在的巴基斯坦，他就供养这个塔。你看他的果报将来就跟佛有缘了从此又到乌多加罕图城城北至吕山川，行600余里，入乌章那国。From here, he went to Udaka Kanda. Traveling 600 li over mountains and rivers towards the north of the city, he reached the country of Udiana. This is situated in the present Swat Valley. 就在这个地方 Swat Valley 就这里。玄奘大师就来过这，这是一条河，这个河从这边过来，然后我们想知道这是什么地方，我们知道这个 Osama bin Laden 最后住的地方就是 Abbottabad 这里 Khyber Pass， 哇，就是 SWAT 也在这儿，就是这个地方。这个是当时就是佛教自己佛本身就走过这 Peshawar 就是这边那么现在就是巴基斯坦。This was clearly sacred land of the Buddhists in the past, and now it's Pakistan. Peshawar, Jalalabad, Swat Valley, on down. Here's the river. Okay. Jasu Posa Du He, 西有伽蓝1400所，僧徒18000，尽病荒无减少。其僧侣以传讯有500言：一法密部，2华地部，3引光部，4说一切有部，5大众部。其王多居蒙街离城，人物丰盛。On the two sides of the Subhavastu River, there was formerly 1,400 monasteries with 18,000 monks, but now the monasteries were in a desolate condition and the monks few in number. The Vinaya of the monks was taught in 5 different schools, namely Dharmagupta, Mahasaisika, Kashyapya, Sarvastivadin, and Mahasangika. The king chiefly lived in the city of Mangalore, which was rich and well populated. 所以这就是这个 SWAT 河，就那里两边，各位想想看，从前有1400所道场，出家众18000，那么多，现在不见了，破烂，人都走了，地方毁坏了，还有一些他们在那边叫5种不同的毗尼耶，那个地方的国王就有钱，住在那儿，乌迪亚纳。So think about 1,400 monasteries and 18,000 monks, but now nobody, and it's all a ghost town. So goodness, the Buddha Dharma is just like that. It doesn't necessarily stay. as we get going in the West, we need to appreciate how our teacher started us out. Our teacher set in the foundation and gave us 28 monasteries and practice centers and things. And it's up to us to follow conditions, follow instructions, and be patient as we develop Buddhism for the West. To think that somehow Taiwanese forms are going to take root in the West, they're not. That's a shrinking pond of Taiwanese disciples who like to do Fa Hui like that. In the West, we like education. That's what Shifu set up. That he said, we're bringing the Buddha Dharma to the West through the gate of education. So schools are where we should put our energy. That's where the left-home people are going to come. So just, we can't outdo Shifu's wisdom as he looked ahead and what he gave us. 这个佛法在印度当时的印度北部，现在巴基斯坦已经破落了，灭落，就说堕落了，灭落 ，right？ 不像以前佛法刚刚开始在西方，师父怎么说呢？他说我们在这个国家就以教育来弘扬佛法，不用法会来弘扬佛法，因缘不同，文化不同。那么师父懂得他的智慧，不用怀疑了所以所有语言皆通达。所以呢，我们看看我们这个国家、这个地方的文化我们的因缘，我们就随缘就会成功。会不会有1400道场18000个和尚？不知道，看星星Okay, yeah. All right. Here we go. Dedicate merit. Samyak Sambuddhaya Tathagata Aisaju 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 Samgati Saha Namo Bhagavate Aisaja Prabharajaya Tathagata Arahate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tathagata Aisaju Aisaju Aisaja Samgati. One more time. Namo Bhagavate Aisaja Guru Vaidurya Prabharajaya Ayata Aisaje Aisaje Aisaja Samgati Saha. Happy Ulambana, everybody. Ulampanjie 快乐，大家。Okay. We can bow to the Buddha. Here we are. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Alrighty, that'll do it for us. I apologize for the internet break. We'll see you all next week. Amitofo, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Amitofo. You're welcome.